Thanks for joining us for KSAT News at 9, streaming from right here in the KSAT 12 newsroom. I'm Steve Spriester. One more COVID-19 related death reported tonight in Bexar County, bringing the total number of patients who have succumbed to the virus in our area to 72. There are 53 new confirmed cases tonight, 32 of those from out in the community. Mayor Ron Nirenberg warns that there is a backlog of tests that will be sent down soon from state health labs, which will mean an uptick in positive cases over the next few days.
The good news on that front is that any of those cases that are requiring hospitals are already in our data. These are just reported numbers that are waiting to come down to San Antonio from the state and other labs.
There is a slight decline in hospitalization numbers. 91 COVID-19 patients remain hospitalized, 40 in intensive care, 25 on ventilators. New tonight, an assisted living facility in Leon Valley has been shut down, according to SA Metro Health. Lovingly Home was given 5 days to find new homes for its residents. Metro Health wasn't able to release much information, but did say that basic infection precautions were not being met. 7 residents and staff members at the facility were tested for COVID-19. 5 of them tested positive. 1 resident has died. Taking a look at the COVID-19 case status for Bexar County now, 1,182 people are still fighting the virus. 1,382 people, more than 50%, have now recovered. A local nonprofit making an effort to make sure that people experiencing homelessness have one less thing to worry about by offering their dogs vaccines and other health care services. Tiffany Huerta spoke to a woman who has been helped by Hope for Hounds, who explains what the assistance has meant to her.
It is hard for me to get them the medicines and the shots that they do need.
Yvette Garcia says she's experienced homelessness since 2012, but recently she found a place to live with her 4-legged friend Elsa. And thanks to a local nonprofit organization, Elsa will soon get her first shots.
It is such an amazing blessing for us, the ones that can't truly afford it, because believe it or not, our animals to us are everything.
Yvette says Elsa helped her through many tough days.
It's what keeps us going. And for us not to have them, it's a whole lot harder on us.
The organization Hope for Hounds is hosting its first free clinic on Sunday. Their mission is to provide free vaccines, health checks, and spay and neuter services to the dogs of the homeless population.
We're going to be providing full vet care, wellness check, basic vaccines as a 3-year rabies, Bordetella, Parvo, distemper.
Founder Ross Powell says the concept began while volunteering at Church Under the Bridge, another nonprofit organization helping the homeless community.
My wife and I serve down at Church Under the Bridge every month, and we saw while we were feeding them, we saw there was a lot of dogs with them as well.
Powell knew they had to do something.
We want them to know that people care about them, that they're not marginalized, that people do care and love them.
It lets us know that even though we are in a hard situation, that we are still loved by people out there, that people do still care for us, and that we are not forgotten.
Powell says this weekend they will only be doing wellness checks on a maximum of 12 dogs. The free event will take place at Church Under the Bridge on Sunday from 4 to 6 p.m. Protests across the country tonight. Some of them are turning violent after the death of an unarmed black man at the hands of a police officer in Minneapolis. Derek Chauvin, the former officer that was seen kneeling on George Floyd's neck, has been charged with murder and manslaughter, but protests have erupted in several cities again tonight. In Atlanta, demonstrators set a police car on fire and broke windows at CNN's headquarters. At least one police officer responding to a protest was hit in the head with some type of object. Massive demonstrations also taking place in Houston. George Floyd, actually a Houston native. The rally was reportedly mostly peaceful, but police did take one woman into custody who had a rifle and allegedly tried to use it to incite the crowd. A group of about 60 to 70 temporarily shut down a highway as they marched in protest. And here at home, Mayor Ron Nirenberg tweeted about the death of George Floyd today, saying in part, quote, "The fires of racism have been stoked by the murder of another black American in police custody. The black community deserves justice, end quote. A rally is scheduled in San Antonio's Travis Park tomorrow to protest the death of George Floyd. Turning to tonight at 9, a child killed in a dog attack. An American imprisoned in Russia undergoes emergency surgery. And a look at how COVID-19 is impacting communities around the world. Here's tonight's 9 at 9. Here at home, new information about what led up to a triple murder-suicide involving a woman, her mother, and 2 children. The family found dead inside an apartment last month. San Antonio police were tipped off by the children's father, who, according to his attorney, had just been granted full custody of both kids. They say he was supposed to pick the children up, but they never showed.
When she did not show up for the exchange in Orange, Texas, he frantically made phone calls. He waited at the appropriate time and then called the police asking for welfare checks. When she did not show up for the exchange in Orange, Texas, he frantically made phone calls. He waited at the appropriate time and then called the police asking for welfare checks. He finally got there on Sunday and again asked for a welfare check, and the police refused to go into the apartment. Monday morning, he was able to look in the window and realize that something was amiss, and he actually broke into the apartment and found the scene.
The kids' deaths have been ruled homicides. The medical examiner has not released the manner of death for the 2 women. An Arkansas man has been arrested in connection with a dog attack that killed a 9-year-old. The boy mauled while checking the mail. The man is charged with tampering with physical evidence, and law enforcement officials say he was also in violation of animal ordinances, including keeping of a dangerous dog. A U.S. Marine veteran imprisoned in Russia has undergone emergency hernia surgery there. The Russian Ministry of Foreign Affairs says Paul Whelan's surgery was successful, but his family says they are still concerned about his health, especially due to the pandemic. Whelan was on trial for espionage. He has denied the allegation. Consumer spending dropped $1.89 trillion in April, thanks in large part to the coronavirus. That's a 13.6% drop, according to Friday's report from the Bureau of Economic Analysis. It's bad news considering about 2/3 of our economy runs on consumer spending. Japan has reported 63 new coronavirus cases yesterday, its highest number of daily infections in more than 2 weeks. The new cases bring its total number of known infections to more than 17,000, including 887 deaths. The cases come as Tokyo announces phase 2 of its reopening plan. Terrifying moments in Ohio caught on camera after a driver loses control of her car. The woman called 911 to say she was on the interstate and unable to slow down.
Okay, she's tapping her brakes, it won't do anything.
The dispatcher instructed her to try her emergency brake, which slowed that SUV to a stop. The World Health Organization has called on tobacco and nicotine industries across the world to stop taking advantage of the global pandemic and marketing directly to children and teens. The WHO says more than 40 million teens use tobacco globally. JCPenney says it's reopening 150 stores just 2 weeks after declaring bankruptcy. The clothing retailer shut down brick-and-mortar locations due to COVID-19, but it's starting to reopen in stages. While it's reopening some locations based on public health guidelines, it's moving to permanently close others based on finances. The Miami Dolphins setting up a drive-in theater at the Hard Rock Stadium. The NFL team says the drive-in theater will showcase movies, classic movies, as well as content from the team's 54-year-long history. They say they will also add an open-air theater to that complex. To read more about these stories, head to KSAT.com. Here at home, engineers and developers at Southwest Research Institute will be closely watching the SpaceX launch that will hopefully happen this weekend. Southwest Research has had a hand in development and research in missions led by NASA, including the exploration of Jupiter through the Juno mission, studying the sun's atmosphere, and sending satellites into orbit, among many others. It is their knowledge and expertise in rocket liquid propulsion that prompts them to lead the first course of its kind for engineers in that field. Grant Musgrove with Southwest Research says that some of the lead innovators with NASA from 30 years ago are quickly retiring. It is vital to ensure knowledge gets passed on.
There's a lot of companies that are subcontracted that provide a lot of components for these rockets. And so sometimes they need analysis work done. Sometimes it's a small company that is just doing a smaller type of rocket, not big launch rockets.
The course will be available to rocket engineers from around the world in October. He says a lot of that type of knowledge is usually learned on the job. He really is a rocket scientist.
Yeah, they really are. They're just, that is a qualification for that job.
It is, absolutely.
It really is rocket
All right,
science.
so a quieter day.
Yes,
today.
it was nice,
It was
right?
great, yeah.
The weather's been so busy this week, and I know a lot of folks get anxious with severe weather here in South Texas, so it was nice to not have to worry about that today. And severe weather is not in the forecast over the weekend, but we will see some downpours work back in by the end of the weekend on Sunday. So if you didn't get the car washed today, I would really think twice about doing it tomorrow, because by the time we get to Sunday, a 40% chance of rain, and that will continue into early next week as well. It was a pretty quiet weather day. We had a few clouds out there and some showers down in deep South Texas, so quiet across the KSAT viewing area. But as you get down into deep South Texas, the Gulf of Mexico and a portion of Mexico there's a bit more precipitation, some shower activity, and more cloud cover. There's actually an upper level low sitting just to our south, and this low is going to start to drift north this weekend and hang around with us through the early part of next week, and that's going to be our spark for some shower and thunderstorm activity. But I'll put your mind at ease. This kind of setup not conducive to a whole lot of severe weather like what we saw this week. So dry tomorrow, but we'll pick up a chance for some scattered downpours beginning to move in, especially later in the day, second half of the day on Sunday. Some downpours will be possible as we get into Monday and Tuesday, and then rain chances slowly drop off through the middle part of next week. So tomorrow, enjoy it. Overall, considering how hot and muggy it could be this time of year, we'll take 89 degrees tomorrow afternoon under mostly sunny skies. Our wind direction today was out of the north-northeast. Tomorrow we'll still have a bit of a northerly component to our wind, and so that's going to keep it from getting too terribly muggy as we get into the day Saturday. So enjoy tomorrow. It could definitely be much more oppressive as far as the humidity is concerned. Now we get into early next week, those rain chances work back in, and it will start to feel a lot more like early summer here in South Texas as we get into the first few days of June next week. Keep in mind, hurricane season officially begins on Monday the 1st, but we've already had a little bit of activity out there in the Atlantic basin. Nothing that is immediately pressing to any part of the U.S. coastline at this time, but it's getting going. Summer's almost here.
Indeed.
Yeah.
I'm a little disappointed you didn't wear your tennis shoes on my casual Friday. I mean, I've got the Converse All-Stars.
Well, these were on sale at Target, and I was really excited to show them off.
Okay, last time we worked together, you wore sneakers on Friday with me.
I'm sorry.
Just a little hurt. We'll be right back in a minute with our coronavirus Q&A. I'm not really hurt. I'm just being brief. We call on the experts to separate some of the facts from the fear that are out there surrounding COVID-19 and this coronavirus pandemic that we find ourselves in. And we are pleased to be joined by Dr. Robert A. Frolickstein, who is on the front lines, an ER doctor here in San Antonio. And he's been helping us through since really this pandemic began. Thank you for joining us today, Doctor.
My pleasure.
What are you seeing in the ER right now? I mean, is it getting back to normal?
Well, no, it's not getting back to normal. I mean, we're still seeing COVID patients. And, you know, I think one day this week, San Antonio had nearly 100 patients admitted to the hospital with COVID. And that's near the highest number we've had. I can't remember the exact number, but it's near the highest number. So they're certainly still out there. And, you know, we're just seeing some really incredibly sick patients with COVID. Now, again, the vast majority of people are probably not going to become that ill, but there are many that are becoming very, very ill with COVID. So.
Now, Dr. Frolickstein, I know that we've spoken to you in weeks past, and one of the things that you mentioned was that you weren't seeing patients coming in for things that they normally would, a heart attack or just, you know, day-to-day things that the emergency room typically sees. Are you still seeing that, or are you seeing a sense of normalcy in regard to that folks are feeling the confidence to come back in?
Yeah, you know, I think we're inching back closer to normal. We're certainly not there, but we're inching back closer to normal. I'm certainly encouraged that I think the feeling out there is that, the ER is the place to go if you think you have a critical illness or if you're injured severely. Come to the ER, and the fact that more people are coming makes me at least hopeful that they know that it's a safe place to go. It's a safe place.
And that's the thing I don't know that we can say enough, and it seems like we say it in every time we do this interview, but you work at Methodist. Somebody walks in the door at Methodist ER, what's the first thing that's going to happen?
So they'll be screened. We have a screener that asks them if they're there because they're a visitor, or if they're having any symptoms whatsoever. And then if they're having any symptoms, then they are put in an area that's different than those people that aren't having symptoms. And so we do a good job of identifying those at risk of having the infection, keeping away from the rest of the patients in the hospital.
Right, they're separated. I mean, it's a total different area of the hospital.
Correct.
Now, Dr. Frolickstein, we have entered into these different phases of reopening. Week by week, the governor kind of eases those restrictions a little bit. When will we see the first signs that these reopenings are going well or perhaps not so well?
Yeah, so the vast majority of people who are going to become ill with COVID-19 after exposure are going to do so within 10 to 14 days. And so I think what we're going to see is, and we're past that for many of the openings, right? And so that's a good sign, and it's encouraging. What I think we need to be on the lookout for as the summer progresses is those periods of 2 weeks after either new openings happen or big events happen where there's a high density of people. Memorial Day, for instance. We'll be interested to see if we're going to see a spike in patients after Memorial Day or after churches start opening, those sorts of things.
And what'd you say, like 10 to 14 days? That's kind of
yeah.
Would you call it the incubation time where we would see some people become ill?
Correct. Some people are sooner than that, but I think it's 90% are going to become ill or are going to be ill within 14 days.
Some other hospitals around the country are seeing younger people suffering from heart problems or heart attacks or strokes that are related to COVID-19. They do a test and they find out that they did have COVID. They just were asymptomatic, except for these particular things with their heart. Are you seeing any of those instances in San Antonio?
So we're certainly seeing patients who come in for another reason that we test because they're going to need to go to the operating room or for whatever reason we test for COVID and they are positive. We've seen that in patients with hip fractures, etc. I think what you're referring to is that this virus is it's peculiar in that it appears like it has caused heart attacks and strokes in some pretty young people without otherwise risk factors. I personally have not seen that. I don't think any of my colleagues have seen that, but I think that's more of a statistical anomaly than anything, right? There's not that many of those that happen, so it wouldn't be that rare that I wouldn't personally see it. It's just one of those peculiar things this virus is causing.
And before we go, do you have any final words or some parting thoughts for our viewers?
I urge people not to get their guard down. I mean, it kind of feels like, oh, we're through this. And in some sense, that's true. I don't think we're at risk, or at least I think the risk of us being overwhelmed, the healthcare system being overwhelmed, is pretty low at this point. My biggest fear going into this was working in the emergency room, seeing people literally dying in front of me, and I couldn't do anything because the resources weren't available. I don't think that's going to happen anymore. But this virus is still out there, and it's still a dangerous virus. And what's odd about it is it's hard for me to protect myself. I have to rely on others to help me protect myself, and that's the whole deal with the physical distancing and wearing the mask kind of thing. So I still think that stuff is very important. So please do it.
Dr. Robert A. Frolickstein, we really appreciate your time. Thank you again for joining us.
We'll be right back. We'll be right back.
And just because you see something trending online doesn't mean it's accurate. At the end of every week, the Associated Press puts together a roundup of some of the most popular but completely untrue stories and images of the past several days. Let's take a look. The first claim we're fact-checking tonight, a photo circulating on social media shows the Minneapolis police officer videotaped kneeling on George Floyd's neck during a deadly arrest, wearing a baseball cap that says, "Make whites great again." But the former officer, Derek Chauvin, is not the person in that photo. There's another photo going around online that claims to show Chauvin at a rally for President Donald Trump. He's not in that one either. Here's another one. Video appears to show Joe Biden on The View avoiding a question about inappropriate touching. Here are the facts. The video has been deceptively edited. The clip takes out large portions of Biden's response to make it appear incoherent. It was originally posted on a conservative website about a year ago with a satire label. It has recently resurfaced online without that label. All right, the last claim we're fact checking tonight, the coronavirus has an HIV protein that proves it was genetically modified. Experts say the new coronavirus has no HIV sequences in its genetic makeup. A recent paper published in Nature, one of the world's leading science journals, completed an analysis of the virus and related viruses and concluded that it originated through natural processes. Turning to tonight's top stories, graffiti found in multiple places downtown, including the Alamo Cenotaph. The words seem to condemn white supremacy, capitalism, and the Alamo itself. Police found a similar spray-painted message on the wall of a parking garage on La Soya and an anti-police brutality message on the sidewalk at Travis Park. An arrest has been made. The city of San Antonio considering a plan to help connect students in up to 50 neighborhoods to an at-home internet access. The $27 million plan is part of the city's COVID-19 recovery plan. The idea is to put up private wireless networks in some neighborhoods that would allow K through 12 and college students to access their school district's networks. The city says it can help some districts that haven't had a chance to build up some of the infrastructure needed. City Council is set to vote on the proposed COVID-19 recovery plan next week. Chef Johnny Hernandez, the restaurateur behind La Gloria and the Fruteria, has a new concept, a margarita truck. He says he knows a lot of people aren't ready to go dine in restaurants yet, so he wants to bring margaritas as well as select menu items directly to customers' doors. It's only one truck right now, but by next week he expects to have as many as 4. For information on how to order and what's available, check out the story on KSAT.com.
If you're missing the movie theaters, there is another one opening up this weekend in San Antonio. It's going to be the Santikos Mayan Palace, a really great place to catch a movie. They're actually only doing $2 movie tickets this weekend as a special to get people to come back. And they're doing specials on a $5 large popcorn and $5 margarita. So that's a really great deal to maybe catch a movie and some drinks. They will be older movies playing, but still a good time if you're missing that atmosphere. Go check it out. We've talked a lot about some of the weird animals you find in the waters here in Texas. Recently, we talked about blue dragons. We've talked about sharks that have been reeled in. So we actually compiled all of those things, those kind of weird, large animals that you can find at Texas beaches around this time of year. One of them, very interestingly, is actually baby eels have been spotted off the Padre Island National Seashore before. And when they're first born, they come out clear and translucent, almost like a piece of plastic. So that was something really interesting to see. You can find that on KSAT.com. Last story of the day is actually coming to us out of India. These monkeys near a hospital facility where that treats COVID-19 attacked a researcher who had COVID-19 blood samples with him, and the monkeys stole the blood samples and took off. Now, I know that sounds concerning, but not to worry. The monkeys weren't really that interested in the packages of the blood samples. They just chewed on it a little bit and threw it away. And hospital officials in India have already confirmed they've sanitized everything and that there was no other contact with humans. But if you see a troop of monkeys coming around, best to protect yourself and best to maybe protect your personal affects like COVID-19 blood samples maybe. So that's trending. All that, so much more on KSAT.com. Check it out and have a great weekend.
For all of us at KSAT 12, thank you for joining us. I want to give a special shout out to Patrick and Lexi and Val and Rick and Myra and so many others who put such heart and soul into this show. Have a great weekend.